I was standing beside my husband's coffin when I saw him. Alive. Breathing. Standing in the crowd. My heart stopped. The church was full of people dressed in black. Flowers covered the walls. Soft music played in the background. Everyone was crying, whispering, hugging each other. Everyone believed my husband was dead. Everyone except me. Because I was staring straight at him. He stood near the back, half hidden behind a tall man in a dark coat. His hair was the same. His face was thinner, but it was him. The man I had kissed goodbye. The man whose body I had identified. The man lying in the coffin just a few steps away from me. Our eyes met. And he shook his head. Slowly. Like he was warning me. Before I could move, before I could scream, before I could even breathe properly. My phone buzzed in my hand. I looked down. A message. From an unknown number. Run. They're watching US. Before we go any further, if you love suspenseful, shocking stories like this, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. Also, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know who is here with me. Now listen carefully. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. I looked back up. He was gone. The space where he stood was empty, like he had never been there at all. Someone touched my arm. "Are you okay?" A woman whispered. I nodded quickly. Too quickly. "Yes," I lied. But my heart was racing. I forced myself to look at the coffin again. The face inside looked peaceful. Too peaceful. His eyes were closed. His skin was pale. Cold. Dead. I had cried over that face all night. So how could he be standing? My mind went back to the night everything changed. 3 days earlier. The police had come to my door just after midnight. 2 officers. Serious faces. No smiles. "There's been an accident," one of them said. They told me my husband's car had gone off the road. They said it caught fire. They said there was no chance he survived. I screamed. I collapsed. The neighbors came running. Later at the hospital they showed me the body. Or what was left of it. They said the fire made it hard to recognize him. But they showed me his ring. His watch. The jacket I bought him for his birthday. I believed them. I signed the papers. I planned the funeral. And now I was standing in that same funeral, being told, without words, that everything I believed was wrong. The priest started speaking again, talking about love, about loss, about goodbye. I wasn't listening. I was watching the crowd. Every face felt dangerous now. Every person felt like they were hiding something. They're watching us. Who was they? And why would my husband, if that really was him, tell me to run? My phone buzzed again. Another message. "Don't look for me. They'll see." I swallowed hard. Someone began to sing softly. I felt trapped. If I ran now, everyone would notice. If I stayed, I didn't know what would happen. I took one slow step backward. Then another. No one stopped me. I reached the side door of the church and pushed it open gently. Cold air hit my face. I stepped outside, my heart pounding so loud I was sure someone could hear it. As the door closed behind me, my phone buzzed one more time. This message was shorter. More frightening. "They know you saw me." And that was the moment I realized. My husband wasn't the only one hiding in that crowd. And whatever killed him, or didn't kill him, was now coming for me. I stood outside the church for a long moment, trying to breathe. My legs felt weak. My chest hurt. The cold air burned my lungs, but I welcomed it. Inside that church, everything felt wrong now. The flowers. The music. The coffin. My phone was still in my hand. I looked at the last message again. "They know you saw me." My fingers felt numb. Who are they? I whispered to myself. A car passed slowly on the street. I jumped. Every sound felt louder than it should. Every person felt like a threat. I forced myself to calm down. Think, I told myself. Don't panic. If my husband was alive, if that man in the crowd really was him, then everything about the accident was a lie. And if it was a lie, someone worked very hard to make me believe it. I slid my phone into my bag and pulled my coat tighter around me. I couldn't just run down the street screaming. Not yet. I needed answers. I walked toward the small garden beside the church, where people usually went to cry in private. A few guests were standing there, talking quietly. I kept my head down and pretended to wipe my eyes. Such a tragedy, a woman said softly as I passed. I nodded without looking at her. If she only knew. I sat on a cold stone bench and tried to remember everything from the last few weeks. Every detail. Every strange moment I might have ignored. The night before the accident, my husband had been quiet. Too quiet. He kissed me on the forehead and said, "If anything ever happens to me, promise you'll trust yourself." At the time I laughed. "Stop being dramatic," I told him. Now my stomach twisted. The day of the accident, he never arrived at work. His phone went straight to voicemail. When the police called, they already knew my name. That should have scared me. But I was too busy breaking apart. My phone buzzed again. I almost dropped it. Another unknown number. "Don't go home after the funeral." My heart started racing again. Why? I typed back before I could stop myself. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then another message came. "Your house isn't safe." I looked up quickly, scanning the garden. A man stood near the church wall, pretending to smoke. He wasn't dressed for a funeral. No black coat. No tie. Just a dark hoodie. He was watching me. I felt it. The way his head tilted slightly in my direction. The way he didn't look away when our eyes met. My hands shook. I stood up slowly and walked toward the parking lot, forcing myself not to run. I could feel his eyes on my back. I reached my car and unlocked it quickly, sliding inside and locking the doors. Only then did I breathe again. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my heart pounding. Okay, I told myself. Okay. I checked my mirrors. The man in the hoodie was walking slowly past the cars, pretending to look for something. He glanced into my car as he passed. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile. A knowing one. I started the engine. I didn't care if people thought it was rude. I didn't care if someone tried to stop me. I drove out of the parking lot and onto the main road, my hands tight on the wheel. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a picture. My breath caught in my throat. It was a photo of me. Sitting on the bench in the garden. Taken from behind. I almost swerved off the road. Another message followed immediately. "This is how close they are." Tears filled my eyes. "How do you know this?" I whispered. The reply came fast. "Because I'm still running too." My heart dropped. He's alive, I thought again. He's really alive. But then another thought followed, colder and more terrifying. If he's running, what is he running from? I drove aimlessly for a while, afraid to go anywhere familiar. Every car behind me felt suspicious. Every red light felt like a trap. Finally, I pulled into a small grocery store parking lot and parked between 2 large vans. I needed to think. I needed a plan. I checked my phone again. No new messages. I opened my bag and pulled out the funeral program. My husband's photo smiled up at me. The same smile I had seen in the crowd. I felt sick. Someone knocked on my window. I screamed. A woman stepped back, shocked. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said. "I thought you were someone else." I nodded quickly and mouthed, "Sorry." She walked away. I wiped my face and took a deep breath. You can't trust anyone, I told myself. Not yet. I turned the key again and pulled out of the lot. As I drove, one thought kept repeating in my head. If my husband wanted me to run, there must be a reason he couldn't come to me himself. And if the people watching me were bold enough to send photos, then they weren't just watching anymore. They were waiting. My phone buzzed one last time as I stopped at a red light. A final message appeared. If you want answers, don't go where you feel safe. Go where we first met. My heart skipped. I knew exactly where that was. And suddenly, I understood something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't just about my husband being alive. This was about something from our past. Something that was never supposed to follow us. And whatever it was about to catch up with me. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. The place we first met. I hadn't been there in years. I told myself it was just a memory. A simple place. Nothing dangerous. But the way my heart started beating faster told me my body remembered something my mind had tried to forget. I checked my mirrors again. A black car was 2 vehicles behind me. It had been there for a while. Too long. I slowed down. So did the black car. I turned left at the next street. The black car turned left too. My mouth went dry. Don't panic, I whispered. Don't panic. I turned right suddenly. The car followed again. That was enough. They were following me. I pressed the gas and took another turn, then another, driving through streets I barely recognized. I didn't care where I was going anymore. I just needed to know if they would keep following. They did. Every turn. Every stop. Always there. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I had to. Don't drive home. They'll block you. My chest felt tight. How does he know? I thought. I typed quickly with one hand. Where are you? The reply came almost instantly. Close. But not safe. I swallowed hard. The road ahead opened into a busy area. Cars. People. Noise. Good. I pulled into a crowded gas station and parked near the entrance. Lights were bright. People were everywhere. I got out of the car and walked quickly inside, keeping my head down. I stood in line pretending to buy water, my eyes watching the glass doors. The black car pulled in. 2 men stepped out. They didn't rush. They didn't look angry. They looked calm. Too calm. They stood near the pumps, pretending to talk, but their eyes kept moving. Looking. Searching. One of them glanced toward the store. Straight at me. I looked away fast and paid for the water, my hands shaking so badly the cashier noticed. You okay? She asked. Yes, I lied. Just tired. I walked out slowly, then turned sharply and headed toward the back of the building instead of my car. I walked past dumpsters, past a delivery door, and slipped into a narrow alley behind the station. I didn't stop walking. I didn't look back. My phone buzzed again. Good. They lost you for now. I leaned against the wall, breathing hard. For now. I typed again. What is going on? Why are they after us? The dots appeared. Then stopped. Then appeared again. My heart pounded as I waited. Finally, the message came. Because I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. My stomach dropped. What did you see? I typed. There was a long pause this time. Too long. I checked the alley. Empty. I checked the street. Cars passed like nothing was wrong. Then my phone buzzed again. The night I died. I wasn't alone. My breath caught. What do you mean? I typed. Another pause. Then. The accident wasn't an accident. I felt dizzy. I slid down the wall and sat on the ground, my back against the cold brick. Who did this? I typed. The reply came slower now. Like he was choosing his words carefully. People who don't leave witnesses. My hands started shaking again. Then why am I still alive? I asked. This time, the answer came immediately. Because they think you don't know anything. I stared at the screen. That was when I heard footsteps. Slow. Close. I froze. Someone stopped at the entrance of the alley. A shadow stretched across the ground. My phone buzzed one more time. If they realize you know about me, you won't get a warning. The footsteps moved closer. And I understood, with terrifying clarity. Seeing my husband alive wasn't the real danger. Knowing why he was supposed to be dead was. The footsteps stopped. So did my breathing. I pressed my back harder against the cold brick wall, holding my phone tight in my hand like it could protect me. The shadow at the end of the alley didn't move. It just stayed there, stretched long by the streetlight, like whoever owned it was deciding something. Run, my mind screamed. But my legs wouldn't move. A man stepped into the alley. Not the one in the hoodie from the church. This one wore a dark suit. Clean. Sharp. Too neat for a gas station alley. His shoes barely made a sound as he walked closer. You dropped this, he said calmly. He bent down and picked up a scarf. My scarf. The one I had worn at the funeral. My heart nearly stopped. I didn't drop anything, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. He smiled politely. You did. Near the benches at the church. That meant he had been there. Watching. Following. I think you're mistaken, I said, slowly standing up. He took one step closer. You left the service early. People noticed. I felt sick, I replied. Funerals do that. His smile didn't fade. Yes. They do. My phone buzzed in my hand. I didn't look down. The man's eyes flicked to my phone for half a second. That was all I needed to see. He knew. You should come back, he said gently. Your husband would have wanted that. The words hit me like ice. My husband is dead, I said. He tilted his head slightly. Is he? My heart slammed against my ribs. Before I could answer, another voice echoed from the street. There you are. A woman's voice. The man's calm expression tightened just a little. A woman stepped into the alley. She wore a long coat and dark glasses, even though it was cloudy. She smiled when she saw me. We've been worried, she said. You disappeared. I needed air, I replied. She nodded. Of course. Grief can be overwhelming. She stepped closer, blocking the exit behind me. Trapped. The man held out my scarf again. You should be careful, he said. Things get lost easily. I took the scarf with shaking hands. Thank you, I said. The woman studied my face. You look frightened. I just buried my husband, I replied. How do you think I should look? She smiled wider. Fair point. My phone buzzed again. This time, I risked a glance. The woman is worse than the man. Don't trust her. My pulse jumped. The woman noticed my eyes drop. Who's messaging you? She asked casually. No one important, I replied. She laughed softly. Everyone is important to someone. The man checked his watch. We should go, he said to her. People will start asking questions. She nodded, then looked back at me. We'll talk later. About what? I asked. About what you saw, she said calmly. And what you didn't. They turned and walked out of the alley like nothing had happened. I stood there shaking, barely able to breathe. My phone buzzed again. They're testing you. They want to know if you've connected the dots. I typed back with trembling fingers. What dots? The reply took longer this time. The dots that lead to why I'm alive. And why they want me dead. I pushed myself off the wall and walked quickly back toward the street, my legs weak but moving. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't stay anywhere familiar. I got back into my car, locked the doors, and sat there trying to calm down. My phone buzzed again. We can't keep talking like this. They're tracking signals. Then how do we talk? I typed. A few seconds passed. Then, face to face. Tonight. My heart skipped. Where? I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. Then the message appeared. The place we first met. Midnight. Come alone. I stared at the screen. That place wasn't just a memory. It was a place with secrets. Secrets we had sworn never to speak about again. And if he was asking me to go back there, it meant whatever he saw the night he died was connected to that place. My phone buzzed one last time. If I'm not there, it means they found me first. The screen went dark. And for the first time since the funeral, I wasn't sure which terrified me more. Meeting my husband alive. Or finding out what would happen if he didn't show up at all. I drove without turning on the radio. The silence felt safer. Every streetlight looked like an eye. Every parked car looked like it might start moving the moment I passed. I kept checking my mirrors, my hands tight on the wheel, my heart beating too fast. Midnight, I thought. The place we first met. That place was old. Forgotten. The kind of place people stopped visiting years ago. We had met there by accident, both running from different things, both thinking no one was watching. I parked 2 streets away and walked the rest of the distance. I didn't want my car to be seen. The air was cold. The street was empty. My footsteps sounded too loud, even though I tried to walk softly. The building came into view. Dark. Silent. Broken windows like empty eyes. I stopped at the corner and waited. 11:57 p.m. I checked my phone. No messages. I waited longer. 11:59 p.m. My chest felt tight. Please be there, I whispered. Midnight. Nothing happened. I took a slow step forward. Then another. The door to the building creaked open. I froze. A figure stepped out of the shadows. I knew the way he walked before I saw his face. It was him. Alive. He looked thinner. Older. His eyes were sharp, always moving, like he was counting every sound. You came, he said quietly. I rushed toward him without thinking and stopped just inches away. You're alive, I whispered. I saw you in the coffin. I know, he said. That wasn't me. My knees felt weak. Then who was it? I asked. He looked past me, scanning the street. Someone who didn't have a choice, he replied. Fear crawled up my spine. Tell me everything, I said. Please. He took my hands for just a second, then let go. We don't have much time, he said. They followed you here. My heart dropped. I was careful, I whispered. You were brave, he corrected. That's different. He led me inside the building. The door closed behind us with a soft but final sound. The place smelled like dust and old metal. Moonlight slipped through broken windows, cutting the darkness into pieces. This is where it started, he said. What started? I asked. The mistake, he replied. He leaned against a wall and finally looked at me fully. The night of the accident, he said, I wasn't driving home. I felt my breath catch. Then where were you going? I asked. To meet someone, he said. Someone who promised answers. Answers to what? To why people were following me, he said. To why my phone was tapped. To why strangers kept asking questions about my work. My stomach twisted. You never told me any of this, I said. I was trying to protect you, he replied. By lying? I asked. By keeping you alive, he said sharply. Silence filled the space between us. I saw something that night, he continued. Something illegal. Something powerful people wanted buried. What did you see? I asked. He hesitated. Proof, he said. Names. Money. Plans. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Both of us froze. Slowly, I pulled it out. A new message. You're both in the wrong place. My blood ran cold. He stepped back, his face dark. They found us, he said. Before I could speak, headlights flashed through the broken windows. One car. Then another. Doors slammed outside. Footsteps. Many of them. He grabbed my arm. Listen to me, he whispered urgently. If we get separated, do not trust anyone who says they can help. What about you? I asked, my voice shaking. He looked at me with a sad smile. If they catch me, he said, you run. The footsteps grew louder. A voice echoed from outside. Come out, the woman's voice said calmly. We just want to talk. My husband turned toward the back door. There's a tunnel, he said. It leads to the river. He pushed something into my hand. A small flash drive. This is why they want me dead, he said. If anything happens to me. A loud bang hit the front door. Wood cracked. G.O., he shouted. I ran. Behind me, the door burst open. And the last thing I heard before disappearing into the darkness was his voice yelling my name. And a gunshot that echoed through the building. I ran until my lungs burned. The tunnel was narrow and damp, the walls cold and slick beneath my fingers as I stumbled forward in the dark. Water dripped from somewhere above, each drop sounding like a footstep chasing me. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The gunshot echoed in my head again and again. Please be alive. Please be alive. My shoes slipped on the wet ground, and I nearly fell, catching myself against the wall. The tunnel smelled like rust and old water. I could hear shouting behind me now. Muffled voices, angry and sharp. They went this way. My heart slammed harder. I ran faster. The tunnel curved, then sloped downward. Ahead, I saw a faint glow. Moonlight. The river. I burst out of the tunnel and into the cold night air, gasping. The river rushed past, dark and fast. Trees lined the bank, their branches moving in the wind like reaching hands. For a second, I didn't know where to go. Then I heard footsteps behind me again. I ran along the riverbank, my feet sinking into mud. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't stop to look. I couldn't. A beam of light swept across the ground. Stop, a man shouted. I ducked behind a tree, pressing myself flat against the trunk. My whole body shook. I could hear them now, 3, maybe 4 people, spreading out, searching. She has something, a voice said. Don't let her get away. My hand tightened around the flash drive in my pocket. This is why I thought. This tiny thing. I held my breath as footsteps passed just a few feet away. Someone cursed softly. Another voice spoke into a phone. Yes, she escaped through the tunnel. No, we don't know where he is. He. They didn't say dead. Hope flared in my chest, small but bright. The voices moved farther away. The lights shifted toward the water, then toward the trees on the other side. I waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. My legs ached from crouching, but I didn't move until I was sure they were gone. When I finally stood, my knees almost gave out. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. Dozens of missed notifications filled it, calls from unknown numbers, messages I hadn't seen while running. One new message appeared at the top. Keep moving. Don't go back. My breath caught. You're alive, I typed quickly. Where are you? No reply. I looked around the riverbank. Empty. Quiet. Too quiet. I started walking, keeping close to the trees, heading away from the old building. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like a person. After a while, I reached a small road. A single streetlight flickered overhead. My car was nowhere near here. I needed help. But who could I trust? My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a call. Unknown number. My finger hovered over the screen. Don't answer, my mind warned. The phone kept ringing. I answered. Hello. I whispered. You're making this harder than it needs to be, a familiar female voice said. My blood ran cold. It was her. The woman from the alley. We can protect you, she continued calmly. You're scared because you don't understand what's happening. I understand enough, I said, my voice shaking. You tried to kill my husband. She laughed softly. If we wanted him dead, he would be. Then what do you want? I demanded. You, she replied. And what he gave you. I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Another call came in immediately. I didn't answer. Then a message appeared. The flash drive won't save you. It only makes you a target. I backed away from the road, my heart pounding. A car engine started nearby. Headlights appeared at the end of the street. Slow. Careful. Looking. I turned and ran again, disappearing into the trees, my breath coming in short, painful gasps. As I ran, one terrible thought kept repeating in my mind. If they were this desperate to get that flash drive, then whatever was on it wasn't just dangerous. It was powerful enough to destroy them. And if my husband was still alive somewhere out there, wounded and hunted, then this wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about deciding how much truth the world was allowed to see, and how many people would die to keep it buried. I didn't stop running until my legs refused to carry me anymore. I collapsed behind a thick line of bushes near an old footbridge, my chest burning, my ears ringing. The river was farther away now, its sound softer, almost peaceful. Too peaceful for what was happening. I pressed my hand over my mouth to quiet my breathing. Think, I told myself. You have to think. The flash drive felt heavy in my pocket, like it was pulling me down. A tiny piece of plastic, yet people were willing to kill for it. Whatever my husband had put on it wasn't just proof. It was leverage. I pulled the flash drive out and stared at it in the dark. What did you see? I whispered. My phone vibrated again. I flinched, then checked the screen. You can't stay outside much longer. Cameras cover the roads. My heart jumped. How do you know that? I typed. The reply came slower this time. Because I've been hiding from them for months. I swallowed hard. Are you hurt? I typed. A long pause. Then. Not bad. But I can't move fast. Tears burned my eyes. Where are you? I'll come to you. The dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. No. If they see you with me, they'll take you both. I wiped my face with my sleeve, smearing dirt and tears together. What do I do then? I typed. The answer came almost immediately. You need to disappear. Just like I did. My chest tightened. I can't just vanish, I typed back. Everyone thinks you're dead. They'll come for me. Another pause. Then. That's why you're still alive. They need you quiet. That made my stomach drop. They weren't hunting me to kill me. They were hunting me to control me. I heard a distant engine again. Not close, but close enough to remind me I wasn't safe. I stayed low and waited until the sound faded. I needed a place to hide. Somewhere off the grid. Somewhere they wouldn't expect. Then I remembered something my husband once said, years ago, during a casual conversation I barely paid attention to at the time. If things ever go bad, he had joked, I know places even ghosts forget. At the time I laughed. Now, I wasn't laughing. I typed quickly. The storage unit. The old one. The reply came after a long pause. I was hoping you'd remember. My heart raced. Meet me there, I typed. Another pause. Longer. Then. No. Too risky. You go first. If it's clear, I'll come later. I didn't like that. What if they follow me? Then don't go straight there. Lose them first. I stood slowly, my legs aching, my body screaming for rest. The night felt endless, but I couldn't stop now. I moved through side streets, backyards, places without lights. I avoided main roads, crossed streets only when I was sure no one was watching. Every shadow made my heart jump. Every sound felt like a warning. Finally, after what felt like hours, I reached the edge of town. The storage unit sat behind an abandoned warehouse, rusted gates half open, forgotten by most people. We rented it years ago to store old furniture and boxes we never unpacked. I slipped inside and locked the door behind me. The small space smelled like dust and cardboard. I leaned against the wall, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. I was shaking. I checked my phone. No new messages. Minutes passed. 10. 20. Just as panic started to rise again, my phone buzzed. I'm close. Relief flooded me so fast I almost cried. Be careful, I typed. I think they're still looking. The reply came instantly. They always are. I heard footsteps outside the storage unit. Slow. Careful. I held my breath. A shadow passed under the door. Then another. My phone buzzed again. That's not me. My blood ran cold. The lock on the storage unit rattled. Someone was trying to open it. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. Running wasn't enough anymore. Hiding wasn't enough. Sooner or later, I would have to choose. Give them what they wanted. Or let the truth destroy everything they'd built. And the next few minutes would decide which one of us survived. The lock rattled again. Harder this time. Metal scraped against metal, slow and patient, like whoever was outside knew there was no rush. I pressed my back against the far wall of the storage unit, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure they could hear it through the door. I held my phone close to my chest. Please, I typed silently, not daring to make a sound. Where are you? No reply. The rattling stopped. Silence followed. That silence was worse. I covered my mouth with my hand to control my breathing. My mind raced through options, but none of them felt good. There was nowhere else to run. No back door. No window. The lock clicked. Not open. Just tested. Then footsteps moved away. I waited. 1 second. 2. 5. My phone buzzed. Don't move. They're checking units one by one. My knees nearly gave out. How do you know? I typed. A pause. Then. I can see them. Fear wrapped around my chest like a rope. Where are you? I typed again. On the roof of the warehouse. I can't come down yet. I closed my eyes. They're at my door, I typed. They tried the lock. Another pause. Longer this time. Listen carefully. If they get in, you have to buy time. Don't mention me. Don't mention the drive. My stomach twisted. Buy time how? The reply came fast. Act like you know nothing. Like you're broken. Footsteps returned. Closer. A flashlight beam slid under the door, cutting through the darkness like a blade. It moved slowly back and forth, stopping right where my feet were. A voice spoke from outside. Com. Male. Ma'am, we know you're in there. I didn't answer. We're not here to hurt you, he continued. You're very confused right now. We just want to talk. I felt tears sting my eyes, but I forced myself to stay quiet. The flashlight moved again. You lost your husband, the voice said softly. That kind of grief can make people imagine things. My jaw tightened. Another voice joined in. Female. Her voice. You've been through a lot, she said gently. Let us help you. The lock clicked again. This time, it turned. The door opened a few inches. Light flooded the unit. I let out a small, shaky sob and curled my shoulders inward, exactly the way my husband told me to. I don't know what's happening, I whispered. Please. Just leave me alone. The door opened fully. 2 people stood there. The man in the suit. And the woman in the dark glasses. They looked calm. Clean. In control. The woman crouched slightly to meet my eyes. There you are, she said kindly. We've been worried. I shook my head, tears falling freely now. I just wanted somewhere quiet. The man glanced around the unit. Boxes. Old furniture. Nothing suspicious. Did anyone follow you here? He asked. I shook my head again. No. I came alone. The woman studied my face carefully, like she was reading something behind my eyes. You loved your husband very much, she said. Yes, I whispered. And losing him so suddenly, she continued, can make the mind play tricks. I nodded weakly. The man stepped closer. You didn't see him at the funeral, he said flatly. I looked up at him, confused. What? You didn't see him, he repeated. You were overwhelmed. That's all. My heart pounded, but I forced myself to nod. I think you're right. The woman smiled. Good. She stood and dusted off her coat. We'll take you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can rest. I shook my head slowly. I don't want to go anywhere. The man's eyes hardened just a little. You don't have a choice, he said. My phone vibrated in my hand. I flinched. The woman's eyes snapped to it. Who's that? I looked down at the screen. A message. Now. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed above us. Metal groaned. Something heavy hit the roof. The woman straightened sharply. What was that? Before anyone could answer, the lights outside the storage units went out. Everything went dark. Someone shouted. Footsteps scrambled. In the confusion, a hand grabbed my arm and yanked me backward. Run! A voice whispered urgently in my ear. His voice. I didn't think. I ran. Behind us, the woman screamed orders, the man cursed loudly, and flashlights flickered wildly in the darkness. We burst out the back of the unit and into the shadows between buildings. This way, he whispered, pulling me along. Gunshots rang out behind us. We didn't stop. We didn't look back. And as we disappeared into the night, one terrifying thought burned in my mind. They weren't trying to silence us anymore. They were trying to erase us. And whatever was on that flash drive was about to turn this chase into a war. We didn't stop running until the city lights disappeared behind us. My legs felt like they were on fire. My chest burned with every breath. He pulled me through narrow paths, across empty lots, and into streets so quiet they felt abandoned. We finally ducked into a half-collapsed building and slid behind a broken wall. Only then did he let go of my arm. We stood there in the dark, gasping for air. You're bleeding, I whispered. He looked down at his side. Dark stains spread across his shirt. It's not bad, he said quickly. Too quickly. You were shot, I said, my voice shaking. Grazed, he replied. I've had worse. I didn't believe him, but there was no time to argue. Sirens wailed somewhere far away. Not close enough to help. Close enough to scare. They won't stop, I said. No, he agreed. They can't. He leaned against the wall, closing his eyes for a second. I watched his face in the dim light, trying to understand how I could be standing next to a man I had buried just days ago. You should have stayed dead, I whispered before I could stop myself. He opened his eyes and looked at me. I tried, he said quietly. That hurt more than anything else. He reached into his jacket and pulled out another flash drive. My stomach dropped. There's more. Yes, he said. What I gave you is only part of it. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Because if they caught you, he replied, they'd only find half the truth. I stared at him. Half the truth can still get us killed. He nodded. That's why we have to finish this. We stayed hidden until the night grew quieter. The gunshots stopped. The shouting faded. But I knew better than to think we were safe. They'll regroup, I said. They already are, he replied. We moved again before dawn, keeping to shadows, avoiding cameras, avoiding people. Every time a car slowed down, my heart jumped. Every time a phone buzzed somewhere nearby, I flinched. Eventually, we reached a small apartment building on the edge of the city. Who lives here? I asked. No one who asks questions, he said. Inside, the apartment was bare. A mattress on the floor. A table. A laptop already plugged in. He locked the door behind us and leaned heavily against it. I can't run anymore, he said. I helped him to the mattress and pressed a towel against his wound. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to focus. Tell me everything, I said. No more secrets. He nodded slowly. The night of the accident, he began. I followed someone. Someone I wasn't supposed to. Who? I asked. People who move money where it shouldn't go, he said. People who erase problems. My blood ran cold. I recorded everything, he continued. Meetings. Transfers. Names. And they found out, I said. Yes, he replied. They tried to kill me. When that didn't work, they made me disappear. How? I asked. He looked away. They burned another body. Made it unrecognizable. Gave me time to run. I felt sick. And the funeral? I asked. I couldn't let you believe it forever, he said. But I couldn't talk to you either. So you watched me bury you, I whispered. I watched to make sure you were safe, he said. And to warn you. I sat back, my head spinning. They won't stop, I said again. No, he replied. But now they've made a mistake. What mistake? I asked. He reached for the laptop and turned it on. They came after you, he said. That means we're no longer hiding. The screen lit up. Files filled the display. Names. Dates. Videos. I recognized some of the faces. Politicians. Business leaders. People on the news. My heart started racing again. This could destroy them, I whispered. Yes, he said. If it gets out. And if it doesn't? I asked. He looked at me, his eyes serious. Then we disappear for real, he said. Forever. Sirens wailed again outside. Closer this time. He closed the laptop quickly. They've found the area, he said. I looked at the door. At the windows. At him. What do we do now? I asked. He took my hand and squeezed it. Now, he said, you decide who you trust. A loud knock slammed against the door. Open up, a voice shouted. My heart jumped into my throat, because I knew that whatever choice I made next would decide whether the truth survived, or whether we disappeared with it. The knock came again. Louder. Harder. The door shook in its frame. Open up, the voice shouted again. We know you're in there. My heart felt like it was trying to tear its way out of my chest. I looked at my husband. He looked calm. Too calm. This is the moment, he said quietly. What moment? I whispered. The moment where fear decides everything, he replied. Or truth does. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then footsteps moved away from the door. I held my breath. They're repositioning, he said. They want us to panic. My phone buzzed in my hand. A new message. No number. This ends now. Hand over the drives and you walk away alive. I felt sick. They're offering a deal, I whispered. He nodded. They always do. Another message followed immediately. You have 1 minute. I looked around the room. 1 door. 2 windows. No easy escape. You said I had to decide who I trust, I said. What if I don't trust anyone? He met my eyes. Then trust the truth, he said. I swallowed hard and pulled the flash drive from my pocket. My hands were shaking. This thing ruined our lives, I whispered. It also explains them, he replied. The laptop sat open on the table. Files ready. Names. Videos. Proof. If we send this, I said, there's no going back. There was never a way back, he said gently. Only forward or silent. The minute was almost up. My phone buzzed again. 30 seconds. I thought about the coffin. The church. The woman's calm smile. The gunshot. The nights I cried over a man who wasn't dead. And I realized something with sudden clarity. They didn't just fake his death. They tried to bury the truth with him. I sat down at the laptop. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Once this goes out, I said, they'll come for us forever. Yes, he replied. And if we don't? I asked. They'll erase us quietly, he said. The choice was clear. I pressed send. The files uploaded faster than I expected. One platform. Then another. Then a secure drop to journalists whose names I recognized. My phone exploded with notifications. Messages. Calls. Alerts. Outside, shouting broke out. They're moving, he said. Now they're scared. The door slammed open. Men rushed in. But they were too late. Sirens filled the street. Real sirens this time. Police cars. News vans. Lights everywhere. The woman's voice screamed orders, sharp and furious. Then silence. Hours later, we sat wrapped in blankets in the back of an ambulance. Reporters shouted questions we didn't answer. Police officers spoke quietly into radios. The city buzzed with chaos. What happens now? I asked softly. He looked at me, exhausted but alive. Now, he said, we live with the truth. I leaned my head against his shoulder. At my husband's funeral, I saw him in the crowd. Then my phone buzzed. Run. They're watching US. I ran. And because I did, the truth ran with me. If this story kept you on edge, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more shocking stories. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? Because sometimes, survival isn't about running forever. It's about deciding when to stop hiding.